Speaking of shortcomings, what's our next topic?
There are, if you're, well, we must be talking about something different than what I'm about to talk about. If you're talking about shortcomings, because ain't nothing coming up short from what I'm seeing in the last few weeks. Now, we had a conversation maybe a week or two ago about the top shooting guards in the league. And I don't consider you to be crazy to leave Zach Lavine out of the top 6, which is what the conversation was. But I think that
It wasn't top 5.
It was top 5, but you said
because Victor Oladipo's not playing.
Hurt. So I said, since Victor Oladipo's not playing, then I said, okay, well then I would slide Zach up, but Victor Oladipo would be ahead if we're just talking about shoot 2 guards in the league. I don't even know why you decided to eliminate injured people like they died, but
basketball wise, he dead.
No. He'll be back. But so Zach Lavine is playing very good basketball, and what we're seeing a tweak in the coaching philosophy, which has elevated his game on both ends of the floor. And this is coming from somebody who watches him play on a regular basis, and on both ends of the floor, and not even just as a scorer, but even as a creator and a defender, he's elevating his game. And people have to realize that he's still only 23 years old. Mm-hmm. And right about now, this dude, man, I'm telling you, I don't think a lot of people would say you're crazy to call him a top 5, top 6 2 guard. He's playing that way. And he's doing it against the game he had last night with the guy who was guarding him the whole night.
Hold on. This is disgusting. First of all, I'm so sorry. This
is truth based.
I apologize.
This is truth based.
I apologize to everybody who's watching the show, watching us discuss.
No, you don't have to.
Like the 4th time in 3 weeks, it's sad.
No,
this team has 18 wins.
We just talked
about how they got a top 6.
Just talked about the New
Hold on, I got a question.
For 30 minutes last week.
You put Zach Lavine over Bradley Beal without hesitation.
I didn't say without having that. See, you create words and add other emphasis where it was not. I did not. You asked me that. I said, I said, yeah, I think I would. That is absolutely not without hesitation.
Why do you have Zach Lavine above Bradley Beal?
I think athletically, he's more explosive. Now, Brad has definitely shown that athletically that he's still not. He's not on Zach's level, but he's not on Zach's level. But he's clearly.
Let's actually clarify that he doesn't jump as high as Zach,
and he's not as fast.
Right, but he's a lot stronger.
He's a lot stronger. He's definitely a lot stronger.
Over and over on the show that strength is an extremely underrated athletic ability in the NBA, because until you get strong, and this isn't just me saying this is literally NBA trainers and coaches saying this, until these guys achieve a certain level of strength, that athleticism only manifests in situations where it doesn't matter, like the fast break. That's going to be 2 points anyway. Yeah, you jump from the free throw line and the other guy jumped from inside the free throw line. Who cares? 2 points is 2 points. The athleticism, the jumping ability specifically matters when it turns into finishing in the paint through defense and defenders not contesting you because they don't want to get dunked on. And that is a combination of jumping and strength. And in that sense, Bradley Beal's strength is a serious factor when you compare their athleticism.
But I don't think that it's a big.
His ability and his jump shot, and his ability to get the jump shot off.
I don't think it's as big of a factor. It's a big enough factor to make him on the same level of an athlete overall as Zach.
I agree.
Overall, I don't think it. And honestly, Zach is shooting the ball. I believe the last I checked, Zach's shooting the ball better than Brad Beal this year. So, and overall, honestly, maybe even, overall, I mean, you are hard pressed to really nitpick at Zach's game. The turnovers are higher, but they're mostly higher based off of earlier in the season. he's had a couple games where he's had a lot of turnovers, but if you look at some of those games and you look at the amount of minutes played in those games and that sort of thing, then you kind of see why the turnover situation was what it was. You also look at, I mean, honestly, man, if you really just take a look at the games that he's having, it's beyond the stat line. Look at the situations. Look at the way these points are coming. Like yesterday, he dropped this 39 with the game winner with number one, an elite defender on him in the entire game. Number two, not only is he elite defender, he's the guy you got traded for in your building. That's significant. That's significant, man.
I don't think anything that happens for the Bulls is significant in the second half of the season. Because here's the thing, and I watch losing teams because I'm in New York. I bet you do. Here's the thing.
I disagree.
A lot of times teams come in, especially second half of the season when they just want to get to the playoffs. You get a lot, and Philly didn't even have Embiid, obviously. You get a lot of these games where guys, I mean, Phoenix just is on like a 3-4 game winning streak or something like that. They just beat Milwaukee and, LA and all these other teams. Like, this is what happens. The Knicks have gotten these wins. They went on a 2 or 3 game winning streak against teams they shouldn't have beat. This is what happens. All of the losing teams, Atlanta's getting W's. All of them are getting these wins and putting up numbers now.
This is not a conversation about should we consider the Bulls a dangerous team down the stretch. That's not the core. That's not the fabric of the conversation. The conversation is to hearken back to our what we talked about when we talked about top shooting guards in the league. And you poo-pooed the mention of Zach Lavine in that category.
I still think Bradley Beal is better than Zach Lavine. Yes, I do.
And I'm not going to say that that's ridiculous. I don't think that that's a ridiculous concept. But what I'm saying is to dismiss Zach as if he has no business in that conversation, which is what was done initially, is to me.
No, I still dismiss it. He's the guy on a terrible team. Now, listen, here's the thing. I tell you all the time. In fact, on Sim Nation, I was on the Sim Hangout. I was the one who said I thought it was a big mistake letting Zach Lavine go and keeping Andrew Wiggins. I highly suspect that they kept the wrong guy and they let the better player leave. I am not here to close the book on Zach Lavine.
Well, you don't have to close it because he's opening it every night.
Listen, why you interrupt me? I let you.
I'm just no. You never let me.
I'm not here to say Zach Lavine will never be a good player or a great player. There's things about his game he has to fix. He has the athletic base there. He has the shooting. The thing is, in order to be a winning team, he has to be a part of a winning system. And my biggest fear with Zach Lavine going forward is that elements of his game don't fit into a winning system yet. And that's when you become a trap player who puts up a lot of numbers on losing teams because you get put in situations that on a good team you wouldn't get put in. Now, if you get good enough at that, it can become that, right? This is
but here's the thing that's kind of shocking me.
I won't even finish. But
okay, you paused. See, I'm from Chicago. When you pause, we think you're done.
I mean, all I did was put a period at the end of a sentence, and you just squeezed your butt right in there.
Periods and commas the same thing, though. Especially if you got bad eyesight. You don't see that little line hanging at the bottom.
If the conversation was who are going to be the next best shooting guards going forward, and you said I'll put Zach Lavine in that conversation, I go sure. He has the potential. He has a lot of ways to go. Now there are other guys who also have that potential. Like I said, Buddy Hield. He has the kind of offense that I could put on a playoff team right now and know exactly what I'm going to get out of him. And I kind of like that better. Now I think he's a little similar to what's his name, Booker, where Booker is like he could be a great player, but it also could be that you in Phoenix getting a lot of shots and you get hot. And when you get hot, you look good. And then in these other games, when teams come to stomp you, you just put up empty numbers against stomp like everybody else. We have to see you start to actually win games to really judge your skill set. Bradley Beal has been on playoff teams and been in that situation. So right now, I do feel that Beal is a stronger player. I feel he's a smarter player, which is the main thing. I feel he's a smarter player. I feel like he works better in the structure. I think you could put Beal in a lot of winning situations and get a very high level productive shooting guard. Whereas Zach Lavine, I'm not sure about it yet. Maybe he will grow into that. Maybe he won't. But up until now, on an 18 win team, I'm not giving you top 5 shooting guards in the league on an 18 win team. That's ridiculous.
I see. I think, but you're talking as if the Wizards are the number 3 seed. The Wizards are not a good team either.
But he has a bigger body of work than just this year. And the Wizards were
But
a
but
complete mess. And it
but
wasn't.
this,
And Bradley Beal, most people would say, was by far the best thing about the Wizards. I still think the best thing about the Bulls is Lauri Markkanen.
you know what? I think you think that because you don't watch him every day. And if you watch Lauri Markkanen from a talent standpoint and from the overall package, I absolutely see it. But Lauri Markkanen, I question whether or not he has that dog. Do you have Lauri Markkanen consistently gets caught in mismatches where you have a smaller guy, and if there's 2 bumps, he's passing it back out to the top because he's looking for Zach. And then Zach is the one that's taking the shot. But that's the kind of stuff that you don't see unless you watch them play. And for me, watching them play, I'm watching how Zach Lavine gets open shots for himself and for teammates, how he makes things happen at the end of games, which is money time, which is what I'm looking at more so than anything. It's about how you're scoring, because we all know you can put up a bunch of empty numbers. And I'm not in any way disparaging Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal's a heck of a player. He is. But if you ask me who I would prefer to have on my team at shooting guard at this point, I'm taking Zach Lavine all day, every day at this point. And actually, every day, I'm getting even more positive about that decision because of the way he's playing, because of the way he's scoring, because of the way he's turning up on defense as well. He's getting better. And you know what else is most important? He's asking for the elite level defensive assignment at the end of games. At the end of the game last night, he wanted Jimmy because he knew Jimmy was going to get the ball. He knew that Jimmy was going to drive and try to attack the basket. He wanted the assignment. And that's what Lauri doesn't have. That's what
Yep.
Lauri doesn't have.
Well, the thing about Lauri, why I say I think he's the best thing about the Bulls right now, even though I do think Wendell Carter still has some potential, is because Lauri's 7 feet and can shoot.
Yeah.
And he's athletic. And he had a major injury this year and hasn't played a lot of games. And he's a much younger, in terms of experience, player than Zach Lavine. So I give him a lot of forgiveness in terms of his on-court performance right now in favor of the potential. Because if I take Lauri Markkanen's ceiling, even if that ceiling isn't super duper great, even if he's just a bit better than Mirotic, that's still something that I can throw on a lot of playoff teams right now and say that's what I want. Whereas with Zach Lavine, he's competing for the James Harden role. And I need to see more before I can say I accept that from you, because that's not the ideal situation to be in right now. Ideally, 3 and D guys, high octane point guards, big men who can defend the pick and roll and shoot. That's what the league is about right now. It's not about 2 guards going out and getting theirs, which is why our 2 guard list after James and Clay was like, well, what about this guy? Does he even play? Because they get really, really interchangeable because there are no guys like James outside of James, really. And Clay is just the elite 3 and D guy who can get super hot and can score 40 points on 4 dribbles. So that is in a class of its own. With Zach Lavine's position, even what he's trying to do, I need to see it get to that elite level, because until he becomes an excellent defensive player, it doesn't add up to what championships add up to right now. Like, none of the championship teams are using that element of a guy who is that high usage and isn't a great defender and maybe slightly undersized, isn't the greatest playmaker in the world. Like, that's not ideal. Now,
But I would say
but
that
he's young.
whole
Hold on, real
synopsis
quick.
that you gave of him is totally inaccurate at this point.
No, no, you're
That's
going
like
off.
that's
This
like
is the
Zach Levine's scouting report 2 years ago.
No, no. But here's the thing: if what he's doing at the end of the season happens in games that matter in a winning system, then I will say, well, that was a sign for the future. If it doesn't, and his role either gets reduced or this was an albatross, because I mean, we just watched Jason Tatum kill it for an entire playoff run and then have a disappointing year afterwards. So forgive me for asking for a little consistency in games that count.
No,
And
you know what? I think the thing of it is that you're not getting a chance to watch the progression. And I think that's the thing. So you're still grouping him in the way he has always been assessed and the way he's always been evaluated. And that's not the
No, I've
player that
I've
he
watched
is right now.
I've watched Zach Lavine this year, dude. And there's some times where I'm like, oh, if he does more of that, he's gonna be really good. And there's other times where I'm like, if he does more of that, I still don't love him.
Well,
But my
yeah, I
thing is,
mean, I say
I
that
don't.
about James Harden.
Nah, that's crazy.
Dude,
But
James Harden goes 0 for 17 from three sometimes. And
and
we
and
accept it because he's James Harden.
we accept it because they win.
No, not when he's 0 for 17 all the time. They don't win.
They
Not all
win
the time.
a lot. They win a lot. And that's the thing is like the Bulls still. I mean, they've been playing better since the Otto Porter trade, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
I still think that there a significant portion of that is that teams are weird after the All-Star break. They're getting into that mode. I don't put stock into any of the games from anyone that's happening at this point in the season. The last, like so many of the playoff teams are just like, let's try and get healthy and get ready for the playoffs. And so I think it's very, very easy to overrate what's happening in games like this. It's not that I haven't seen Zach or that I believe that Zach won't get better. I'm every time I talk about young players, what do I say? You don't know what they're going to be until at least 4 or 5 years. Don't close the book on any of these guys. I usually say, especially for point guards, wings tend to develop a little faster. But Zach is an undersized wing where strength is his biggest athletic, problem. If he gets stronger, he'll be better. Oladipo got stronger, he got a lot better. The stronger these guys get, Bradley Beal, stronger he got, better he got. If Zach gets stronger and improves on his game, sure. Am I going to give him that off the end of the season with 18 wins when half the teams are coming in looking to sleepwalk through the Bulls? Absolutely not. No, show me that
I
for
don't
at least. I
I
need more than a couple of weeks of good basketball.
I mean, well, you can't average 24 points a game on a couple of weeks of good basketball. That math just doesn't work.
Well, I think I've seen a lot of guys get 24 points on a bad team and
24 points a game is you
not do anything on a good team.
that's not from 2 weeks. That's not from 2 weeks. I mean,
No, it's the uptick to what is he averaging? 27 points in the last 2 weeks, 27 and change.
it's
That's
yeah, it's 29, I believe, in the last week or two. And it's been on the strength of some
since the Porter trade.
Since the Porter trade. I mean, overall, the whole team is playing good. But like I said, this is not about the Bulls overall. The Bulls have looked better as a team, and I do think there's some value in them playing this way down the stretch. At first, I was really bad on it because I was like, oh, you're going to ruin your chance to get the number one pick. But to be honest with you, it goes from having if you're in the 4 seed, it goes from having a 10% chance to get the number one pick, I think, to like 16% if you're number one. So it's not that big of a deal. And if Ja Morant slips to number 4, you still get the guy you most need anyway. So it really doesn't. Right now, if it started right now, the Bulls would have the 4th best chance.
You think Ja is going to slip to 4th?
I think it's a possibility. I think it's definitely Zion's going to go number 1. RJ could easily go number 2. And who knows if they take Cameron Reddish at 3.
If my team take Cameron Reddish over Ja Morant, I'm going up to the Garden and start.
Well, no, I could see your team taking RJ Barrett.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah. I don't know a team picking that high because honestly, I think the Suns should pick Ja Morant. I don't want to get off topic, but they need a point guard like nobody's business.
They need a point guard as bad as maybe they need a point guard probably just as bad as the Bulls. So that's the thing, But can you pass up Zion? That's the thing.
Yes. Yeah, you sure can. I mean, the thing is, in Phoenix, they need to put butts in the seats, and Zion will do that. But at the end of the day, Ja Morant might do that too. They have a history of drafting great point guards, and they need to go ahead and do that if they're in that position. But that having been said, last thing I'm gonna say on this is the main thing is when you become a good team and you become the main threat on a good team, people defend you differently, they scout you differently, and that is a trial of fire that guys need to go through until I put them in the tops of the league. And guys like Oladipo and James Harden and Klay Thompson and Bradley Beal too have been through that. And guys like Booker and Lavine who've only lost, I don't think they've gone through that yet. And until they go through that, I don't really know what they have, particularly as younger players. I take Buddy Hield and put him aside, not necessarily because Sacramento's winning this year, although that is a factor, but because the kind of game that he has isn't the kind of game that really changes based off scouting reports. Not a whole lot. He has a game, but he has such a Klay Thompson element to his approach to the game. Such a catch and shoot, come off of cuts, that kind of thing doesn't change as much when people scout you differently. And with who else is on his team, I don't think I don't think he'll be the focal point. Whereas with Zach going forward with the Bulls, if the Bulls become a threat to be in the playoffs or be in the playoffs, I think people are going to try and take stuff away from him. And depending on how he responds to that, will let me know what I really need to know about Zach Lavine. And this environment right now is not that environment.
Yeah, I would actually argue the same thing about Brad Beal, because Brad Beal hasn't been the man on a good team either. He's always had John Wall, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Ever since Brad has been the guy, the Wizards suck. So I mean, it's just what it is.